Hi, I'm Janelle Bannett, the CEO and founder of Footlamp Consulting. Thank you for being here today and for taking some time to prioritize yourself and your development. I know that's not always easy to do because you have lots of things you could be doing instead. I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself, as you may be wondering why I am a physician advocate and built this business that is in existence solely for the purpose of providing leadership development and stress mitigation support for doctors. And I'm not a doctor myself. Fair enough. My journey with physicians started when I was 15 years old and lost my super healthy 49-year-old dad quite suddenly to a heart attack. But this story isn't about my dad, it's about my dad's doctor. See, my dad didn't die at home. If he had, my poor mom never would have forgiven herself. No, she talked my dad into going to see the doctor when he mentioned he was having some chest pain. It was there on his doctor's exam room table that he died in the middle of a sentence. Now, his physician did everything that should be done when acute chest pain comes walking in the door. They called a core immediately and began resuscitation. It was just my dad's time to go. Now, I don't remember much about that time because I was in shock, um, obviously. But I do distinctly remember walking out of my dad's funeral and seeing his doctor standing at the back of the church, looking visibly distraught and crying. As much as that time was horrible for my mom, my brother, and me, it struck me hard at the wise old age of 15 that his grief was pretty horrible too. And I had to wonder how many other patients died on that guy that week or that month. That appeared to me to be a lot of grief to be carrying around. 3 years later, I landed in healthcare, kind of mysteriously because I didn't know a soul in healthcare. But I proceeded to walk my career path in direct patient care, then on to consulting in primary care with leaders trying to improve systems that are still broken, then on to be a medical office director at 5 facilities at Kaiser Permanente in Colorado. It was there that I had insight into how little doctors are supported to figure out how to lead other doctors or even leading their care teams. It became pretty clear to me that there was a huge gap for you all, and you weren't having much fun. I also realized how little time and focus you are given to get to know yourselves, your natural strengths as humans and leaders. I did some personality assessment work with the physicians and the physician leaders in some of those medical offices, and they loved it. I saw so many light bulbs going off, and many of them were not in their 20s or 30s. These were folks who've been working in this field for decades, just now getting access to the stuff that those of us with master's degrees in business typically get access to in our undergrads. It just didn't seem right, especially given all the stressors that I knew you all as doctors were dealing with. Well, at some point in time, the largest medical group in the state of Colorado caught wind of what I was up to with their physician chiefs and asked me to join them as an advisor to the physician leaders they had who didn't have a lot of operations leadership experience. And very quickly, I told them they didn't need to have advisors. They needed to have a coach who could help them get clarity and confidence, to be honest, to get out of their own way and figure out which way they wanted to go forward in this very ambiguous space of leading others. I built a coaching program from scratch and had a leader who believed my intuition about the benefits of coaching doctors, even though it was years before Dr. Tate Shanafelt's research at Stanford emerged saying the same thing. It was a unicorn job. I really enjoyed it. And that company, like so many others these days in healthcare, had some pretty bad financial outcomes that forced them to make some cuts. And the physicians that I served in that space as a coach were very happy with the program and loved it. And I knew those top box scores they were giving us meant things were going well. And it took my leaders a long time to actually lay me off, that it was the right thing to do. So now I am working at Footlamp Consulting with my own business, able to provide the support to doctors across the nation. All those things I heard from doctors after they were coached by us hit me hard. A lot of the vulnerabilities and the challenges and the stories you all told me, as well as how much better you all felt after being coached by us, it mattered. And it has encouraged me to do the hard work of being an entrepreneur and figuring out how to make this work with my own company. I've been offering physicians across the nation our coaching support since 2018. And it is just as rewarding in this space as it was working as an internal coach for a large medical group. People are still benefiting, and we're hearing a lot about how much this helps with all the dysregulation that physicians are really being exposed to. All the stressors, all the things you can't control that are really making your world difficult to function in. We have tricks to help you with that. So I've actually scaled this company a few years ago. We now have over 40 coaches on our team, as well as some staff that help us here. And we are enjoying the benefits that we're able to provide for you all. I have noted, though, that not every physician needs to have a one-on-one coaching engagement. Those are typically reserved for people who have 2 or 3 things that they want to work on changing their behaviors around. And not everybody has 2 or 3 things to work on. But we do know that every physician benefits from this neuroscience research that I landed on in 2017 that helps you understand what the cause is of some of these triggers and stressors, what's going on in your brain when you experience them, and what to do about it. That's what you're here for. That's what you've actually enrolled in, is this 8-week program that's going to take you through just that. Now, here's where my conundrum is, because I've known I've needed to create this for you all for years. I hear from doctors way too often that, Janelle, I know you're not a marketing expert because your experience is in healthcare operations, but you got to get this solution in front of physicians across the country because you're sitting on a remedy for our chronic stressors and it's not being called out and provided anywhere else. Well, that hits the 15-year-old in me pretty hard. And as strong as my calling is to help you, my ability to get this information to you is even stronger. So we've created this program for you that we feel like is going to be an easy way to get this done. I should say simple, not always easy. You're going to have to do some work to change these behaviors. And it might scare you a little bit, to be perfectly honest. Change is hard, but you all know how to do hard things. So my conundrum is, when do I actually produce this thing? I know what needs to be said and I know what I need to share, but my calendar is pretty full because I'm running a business and that doesn't really slow down ever. I love it and it's really stimulating and very rewarding, meaningful work for me, but I don't usually have the free time to create a program. So over the next 8 weeks, my calendar looks like it usually does. I'm all over the place. I've got a few work trips and I've got a few family trips. And I'm just going to take you with me. I'm going to shoot videos on the fly with this marketing piece of equipment called a gimbal that my marketing guy gave me. I'm going to figure out how to use that. I am no Instagram queen. I don't even have a TikTok account. I'm a 51-year-old lady that's going to have a growth mindset and figure out how to make this work too. Because I'm tired of waiting to get this to you all, for everything to be perfect. Me waiting to be able to shoot all of these weeks of content here in my office where the lighting is nice and the sound conditions are mostly controlled and my hair is doing what I want it to do, we could be waiting for years while you're waiting to benefit from this program. So I'm going to put my perfectionistic tendencies aside and push myself out of my comfort zone and figure out how to do this while I'm running around doing everything else. Now, the brain does like novelty, especially when learning. So you're probably going to be exposed to stuff that's not what you're used to seeing. I have sat in on some of your CME stuff that can be a little dry. I like fun. So hopefully I can get you some of that very real, raw part of me that tends to just come out when I'm doing stuff like this. And I guarantee you, it's probably going to be a lot more interesting than staring at the back of my office wall for the next 8 weeks. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited. Now, real quick before I let you go, I want to just give you a quick refresher on what it is we're going to be doing. You're going to get at the beginning of each week access to each week's inner work. And the inner work is the stuff you're doing on your own time and on your own. So every week you're going to have something else to dig into, and the app or the web-based version are going to walk you through it. So it will be easy for you to figure out how that works. You're not going to be able to jump ahead because it's not going to give you access to each week until the beginning of that week starts. At the end of each week, you're going to have some action items. Behavior change doesn't happen for us unless we act on things. That's why if you've ever sat in a training session at a corporate venue that's sort of didactic, where you're just hearing about things in a classroom setting and not been able to change behaviors, that's expected. The research shows only 10% of the time do people leave those types of discussions and actually make the changes that were talked about, no matter how excellent the training program is. So we are incorporating more coaching styles of ways of learning and changing behaviors, which is what we specialize in. And that's going to require you to act on the prompts that you're given so that you can answer things accordingly. And in weeks 3, 5, and 7, we're also going to have the opportunity to get together as a group. I'm going to be leading you in a discussion around some of the week's stuff and give you guys an opportunity to talk through anything where maybe you got stuck or you need to dig a little deeper with the aid of someone who knows how to help you get clarity in those spaces. Once we've gone through whatever looming interesting things could be out there for each week, I will open it up for you to bring me things that are bothering you, that are stressors, that are triggers, and I'll help you work through those as well. Now, just to be clear, coaching is very future focused. We're not really here to talk about what happened and how awful it was and how you might be feeling terrible about it. The research is pretty clear. What we give attention to gets stronger. So in coaching, we're pretty focused on where you want to go, what your ideal future would be, how you want to actually interact with these stressors down the road. And we get you there from where you are now. We don't really spend much time with you talking about the past and what happened. It doesn't really help. I don't want to invalidate what kind of suffering you all are experiencing. I have a pretty good awareness of that, and that's a big part of the tension that drives me to get these programs out to you as quickly as possible. And yet, none of you would really enjoy hopping on these coaching calls to sit around and hear everybody else complain about the things that you already know are going not so well. So, I will have prompts for you to help you be prepared about how to best bring your challenges forward. And I'll coach you, I'll help you out. Just want to make sure you know that's not what those calls are going to be. Those calls are going to be pretty positively focused with a lot of solution finding and exploring. And it's kind of an adventure. You'll just have to experience it. But I look forward to seeing you there. All right, next thing, you're going to go ahead and dive into week 1. If you run into any type of technical challenges, please do not hesitate. You will see this email listed a lot on our materials. Info, I-N-F-O, at footlampconsulting.com. We want to know if your app's not working, the web-based version's not working, you're having difficulty getting your CME with the links provided. Technical stuff happens and nothing's perfect. But I don't want you guys sitting around wasting your time trying to figure it out. Send it to us and we will get the right folks on it. Okay, reach out anytime. I'd love to hear how you're doing. You all have my email.